Hello, Yogi. Natalie Adele here. Thank you so much for tuning into this potent practice where it's all about the hips, and the hips don't lie, as Shakira said, right? So we have a few flows to choose from in Vasa University that work on the hips. The thing I like about this one is you don't have to leave your mat. We're going to be laying down the whole time. So you could do this in bed, right? This is great to do when you're just wanting to do a little flow, but like you don't quite have the energy or the motivation to like get up and do some sun salutations. And the hips are a really stubborn part of the body. I call them the junk drawer of the body. So think of this practice as pulling out the junk drawer, dumping it out, and filtering through what doesn't belong to you anymore. It's a practice that feels really, really good. So because we're working on the first floor of the body, our root, our foundation, we're gonna use the I Am Here oil. Also, this is a very grounded practice. So the I Am Here oil has lavender and chamomile. Go ahead and grab that and anything else that you need. We will be using one block at the end of class. If you don't have a block, you can take a rolled up pillow, you can take a stack of books. We're gonna be doing a supported bridge pose at the very end. So go ahead and meet me on your back in butterfly pose. Take your time getting down there. So butterfly pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. The soles of your feet are gonna be touching and the knees are gonna drop apart, okay? So if this is a little too intense for you and you have two blocks and want to use them, you can always slide one block on a diagonal underneath your outer thigh. When I first get into butterfly pose, what I like to do is walk the shoulders out away from the body and away from the ears. We're going to start with the I'm Here oil, so go ahead and grab that. And be really nice and generous with the oil today because we're going to be on our back, so we don't have to worry about slipping and sliding. And go ahead and rub the palms together and take some deep breaths. Inhaling nice long breaths in through the nose. Exhaling some nice long breaths out through the mouth. And feel free to rub any of the extra oil where you want to, behind the neck, on the face, the shoulders. Enjoying a few more deep breaths of the aromatherapy. And really sending your inhale, Yogi, really low into the body, down into your roots, your perineum, your sex organs, your inner thighs, your lower back. And then what I want you to do is take your hands and just gently place them on your inner thighs, just gently pressing the inner thighs down, working your way up the thigh all the way to the inner knee, and then down the thigh all the way to the pelvic floor and those 2 points of the hip, your hip flexors, maybe even giving yourself a little massage here. So with this more yin pose, with our butterfly, it's all about disengaging the muscles. Generally speaking, a lot of us are very tight and contracted in our lower body, right? We're on edge, we're on guard, we're protecting, we're defensive. So start to settle in here. Know that you're safe, right? Know that you're safe. So I personally like to keep my hands on my hips because that's where my hip flexors are very tight. For you, if you're feeling like you've been at your desk all day and you want a little heart opening, perhaps you find cactus arms or you interlace the hands behind the neck. For doing that, you're sort of emulating butterfly in the upper body, right? Perhaps for you, you want to really focus on some breath work here and your breath isn't quite yet arrived in your body. If that's you, place one hand on your soft belly and one hand on your heart. Relax the shoulders and elbows and simply receive the breath, inhaling into the belly, the chest, and exhaling, release. So whatever version you're doing with the hands, just be here for a few more moments. Let the toes fall apart from each other. Let the outer ankles be really heavy on the mat. And then absolutely release the lower back. Notice if you're up and arching in the lower back, relax. Relax the tops of the thighs and the fronts of the knees. And sometimes I even like to move the neck a little side to side. We're gonna take one more deep breath here. Good. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. And then exhale, bring the arms right down by your side, right outside the hips. Walk the shoulders a little bit closer together now. So we're gonna take butterfly bridge. So now I want you to really engage the soles of the feet, the neighboring toes into each other. Tuck the chin to the chest, but don't lift the back of the head off the ground. Inhale, lift the hips off the ground. Exhale, drop the hips back down. So butterfly bridge. Look at your knees. Notice as you lift your hips, do your knees come together? That means you're using your inner thighs to do this. I want you to use your glutes and your lower back and your heart to do this. So exhale down. Inhale, press those feet into each other. Let the knees stay open. Press the palms into the mat. Exhale down. We'll do one more. Inhale. Exhale. This time, inhale, lift your hips and hold it here. Maybe your hands stay on the ground, or just like you would in bridge, interlace the hands underneath you. Again, chin is tucked to the chest, but the back of the head is on the mat. Lift your ribs, the hips will follow. Let the knees drop open. Stay here for one more breath. Lift up higher. Whew, and slowly release. Release the shoulders from out of the body. Bring the knees back together like a book. Gently close it. And then just slowly start to windshield wiper side to side. So I like to keep my hands on my hips after butterfly, just for a little comforting and reassurance that we're gonna be okay. Sometimes my hips feel like an angry teenager or a raging toddler when I do hip flows. So then we take that nurturing energy and send it back. Awesome, so let's go ahead and hug the knees into the chest. I always like to just lift the lower back off the mat a few times because it's probably really tight. My hands are on top of my knees, so cupped into the palms, and I'm just gonna roll out the knees here. Taking really big circles and remembering, most importantly, to breathe. So these aren't little teeny circles, right? Ball and socket, huge range of motion in the hips. I also would love for you to roll out the ankles, flex the feet, point the feet, get out those snap, crackles, and pops. This is also a really nice release for your sacrum or your lower back. And switch directions. Good. All right, let's keep the right knee hugged in, extend the left leg out all the way, and notice my right foot is flexed. I'm gonna take my left hand, put it on my left hip to anchor it down. Right hand is just below my right knee. I'm gonna take a deep breath in, and I'm gonna open my right knee to the right, like I'm opening a gate, right? Notice my knee is in line with my hip. It's not further down, and it's not higher up. It's right in line with the hip. Notice I have a 90-degree in this leg. The foot is flexed. If your left hip starts to peel off the mat, come a little out of the pose and anchor the hip down. Look over the left shoulder. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out. Inhale brings you back through to center. Take a twist over to the left on the exhale. This is just a little twist, right? Just a little twist. Notice I've extended my right arm and I'm looking over my right shoulder. Find softness now in the feet, both feet. Take a big breath in and sigh it out. Inhale, the neck comes back to center. Bring the right knee into the chest. Interlace hands about 1 inch below that right knee. And take a deep bend in your elbows, elbows by ribs. Flex both feet. So the back of my head is still on the ground, but I'm tucking my chin to my chest, and I'm aiming and pulling that right thigh, the top of my quad, to my chest. So deep compression here of the right hip socket, deep compression of the ascending colon. So this is a great pose for digestion. So even though seemingly we're not moving, we actually are, right? There's a mini unnoticeable vinyasa happening. What does that mean? I'm inhaling here, and on the exhale, I actually pull a little deeper. That's the vinyasa. Inhale, exhale. Stay here with that deep, deep, deep compression, and just subtly cradle the knee to the right and to the left. It's so subtle, but boy, am I feeling it in that right hip. Release the tension in the shoulders, the unnecessary tension in the face. Take one more deep breath in. And release the right leg out on the breath out and just stay here for a moment. Send the breath all the way down to the right sole of the foot. Let's take this on the other side. So right hand, right hip, left hand, left leg. Flex both feet. Find the knee above the left hip. Take a deep breath in. And then like you're opening a gateway, go over to the left on the breath out. So this isn't like a massive movement, right? The second your right hip comes down, inch out of the pose a little, anchor down that hip. Right? Again, left knee is in line with the hip. We're not aiming it up into the armpit. That's a different pose. And if the neck allows, look over the right shoulder. Make sure back of both shoulder blades are on the ground. Flex the feet. Inhale. If you're able to, find a deeper stretch. Exhale. Good. Bring the neck back to center. Breath in. And take your twist to the other side. Breath out. Look to the left if the neck allows. Relax the feet now, soften the belly. Inhale, the neck comes back to center, lower back finds the mat. Interlace hands now 1 inch below that kneecap. Draw the shoulders back into the body, really tight bend in the elbows, really close grip to the rib cage. Tuck the chin to the chest, look at your body. Notice if your shoulders are lifting. Press them down, flex the feet. Gather the lower belly into the spine. Inhale and pull on the exhale. Don't release the pull. Stay here for the breath in. Pull deeper, breath out. And one more. And hold it here. Compression of the left hip socket and the descending colon. Great for elimination. Stay here, but just a gentle cradle side to side. In Bikram yoga, they call this wind removing pose. Good, and release both legs. Whew. Close the eyes, mini break. Noticing the energy in the root, the hip flexors, relax the glutes. Inhale, stretch the arms overhead. Exhale, hug the knees into the chest. This time grab behind the thighs. Let the feet be heavy. Maybe even give yourself a few kicks. Good. The back of the head is on the ground and you're gonna open the knees, right? We're setting up for happy baby, but we're not there just yet. Press the tailbone onto the mat. So a lot of us tend to lift our tailbone up, press the tailbone onto the mat, relax the feet. You're just gonna stay here for a few breaths. This is a really great yin pose, by the way. So if you're feeling tightness in the hips, hold this for like 2 minutes, put on a really nice calming song. So stay here, look down the body, and then we'll start to crawl into our happy baby. So now we flex the feet up to the sky like we're walking on the ceiling. Deep bend in the knees. Maybe you stay here or you can reach the outer ankles or the outer feet. So a lot of times what we see in happy baby is this, right? People are lifting the upper body off the mat for the sake of the pose. I want you to maintain contact with the back of the shoulders, back of the head. That may mean you draw the hands down on the legs a little bit. Sometimes while I'm here in happy baby, I like to crack my toes or stretch the soles of my feet. Draw the shoulders back into the body. You're aiming the armpits into the knees or knees into armpits. Take a few breaths here, pressing the tailbone down, tucking the chin. Now we're compressing the whole abdominal and both hips. So now what I want you to do is keep your happy baby, but start to rock over to the right and over to the left, just like you would in a typical vinyasa class. And now what I want you to do is roll all the way over to your right. Okay, so I want you to feel like you're stuck in your crib, happy baby, maybe not so happy baby. My right knee, my right shoulder, my right hip, and the right side of my face are on the ground. Keep the bend in that bottom leg, start to kick the top leg up to the sky. So I'm aiming for a straight leg, keep pulling that right knee in, take a deep breath in, and bend the knee on the breath out. We'll take this to the other side. So roll all the way over to the left, and then kick the top leg up to the sky. Draw the right shoulder into the body. Take a deep breath in and out. Take a bend in the knee, come back to your happy baby. So now what I want you to do is straighten out the legs. I call this one happy adult. It's a little naughty, but that's what I call it. So now we're in happy adult. Sometimes I like to bring the hands outside of the legs, or if I'm going for a deeper stretch, inside of the legs, kind of working my way up the legs and inner thighs. So feet, what are you doing with your feet? You're either flexing or pointing the feet. I like to point the feet to really go for length in the body. And then rotate the knees out a little bit. Rotate the knees out a little bit for external rotation in the hips. Again, start to walk your hands down the inner thighs if that works for you. And notice your breathing. Are you gripping in the jaw or the face? Roll out the ankles. Take 2 more breaths. Fun fact, this is a great pose to do against a wall. Legs, wide V against a wall. So now we're gonna stay here with the legs. Bring your hands underneath the hips, sit on your hands. Take a deep breath in and cross the legs at the ankles. Woo, I'm tight on the breath out. Inhale, open, wide V. Exhale, opposite cross. In, out, in, out. One more time. So keep the cross here. My right leg is in front. It doesn't matter if it's your right or your left. We're gonna get to both sides and then bend the legs, right? So it's like eagle legs with the feet off the ground. And now reach your hands up. Go ahead and lift your upper body off the ground. Give yourself a big squeeze here. And then start to walk your hands all the way down to the ankles. Can you get your hands either on the ankles or the feet? And then release the back of the head onto the mat. So I'm pressing my shoulders down. I'm pressing my lower back into the mat. And I want you to flex the feet here. Wherever your hands are on the legs, wherever you can reach, I want you to flex the feet. So think of like a pigeon pose, right? So I'm gonna be pressing my knees down and kick your feet out now. This deepens the stretch. Deep stretch in that IT band. And release. Bring the arms back to the floor and then switch the cross. Opposite leg in front, bend at the knees, lift the upper body up, give yourself a big squeeze, and then start to walk your hands onto either the shins, the ankles, or the soles of the feet. Relax the head back on the ground and flex those feet. Start to kick your feet out to opposite sides of the room here as you're drawing your shoulders back into the body. This is a deep, deep, deep twist, deep, deep, deep stretch. So I want you to really focus on a long, smooth, not jagged breath. One more breath, press the tailbone down. And release. Legs up to the sky and just shake them off. And if you want to get the arms involved, go for it. I call this the yogi temper tantrum. Whew. Awesome, awesome job, guys. We're gonna do one more little active pose and then we come into rest. Lift the hips up, extend the legs up to the sky, point the feet, and start to do yogi bicycles here. So I really want you to go slow, and I want you to focus on quality, not quantity. So I don't want you to do 100 little bicycles. We want to learn how to take up space on our mat and in our life. So I want you to go slow, and look, my legs are coming all the way down and all the way up, right? What tends to happen here, speaking from personal experience, is we start to grip in the shoulders and we grip in the jaw. So can you let this be a little bit easier? Can you find a little bit more fluidity here? Draw the lower belly into the spine, into the ground. Keep the gaze down the body. The feet are either flexed or pointed, or sometimes a combination of the two. I want you to keep the knees in line with the hips, not opening them wider. And you're gonna start noticing some heat build up in your hip flexors. Your hip flexors are the ligaments, muscles that connect your pelvis to your thighs. Switch directions. Close the eyes. Slow it down. Deepen the breath. One more breath. Good. So I lied. We have one more active sequence before we take it into a resting pose. So if you're really feeling it, feel free to come into a mini Shavasana, and you can meet me in this other flow. So we're going to come into a figure 4. The right leg's going to go up to the sky, and we're going to bring the right outer ankle to the top left thigh. All right, and then we're going to interlace hands behind your left thigh. So my right hand's going in between the legs, left hand's going on the outside. I'm going to lift my upper body off the mat so that I can interlace hands behind that left hamstring. Once I've gotten the grip, I can soften the upper body. I want you to relax this leg here, this left shin. This allows us to get deeper into the hip. Keep the elbows close to the body. Flex your right foot. Inhale. And go for your figure 4 stretch on the exhale. If you want a deeper stretch, bring the hands in front of that left shin. Soften in the lower belly, soften in the whole lower body so you can go deep into the hip joint. One more breath. Go ahead and keep your figure 4. Bring the hands to the ground right by your hips. We're going to take a bridge here. So breath in, flex your right foot. Inhale, lift the hips off the ground. Chin is tucked to the chest, back of the head is on the ground. Look at your hips, yogi. Are they in line, or is that right hip sagging down? Even at the hips. Engage the core, breathe into the ribs, lift the ribs. Look at that right knee. Can you lift your hips a little higher as you let that right knee drop down, stretching the right hip flexor? 2 more breaths. And this is an intense one, I know, so find the breath. And gently release. Let's take it to the other side. Really nice work. Figure 4, left leg up and over the right. Left foot is flexed. Lift up off the mat, get your grip. Don't stay here off the mat, come back down. And go for your stretch. Notice my elbows are close to my body. This right foot is relaxed. Again, option to stay here or go in front of the shin, close to the ankle. Take a few breaths here. Another really good compression of the hip socket and the abdominal muscles. Gently release the sole of the right foot to the ground, arms down by your side, press the palms into the mat, flex the left foot, inhale, shoot the collarbones up to the sky on the inhale. So I don't want you to just be arching the lower back here, focus on lifting the heart, chest, collarbones, and then the hips will follow. Look at your body. Are your hips even? Can you lift the left hip so it's in line with the right? Let the hips lift as the left knee drops. There's your stretch. 2 more breaths. Engage that core, lift up a little higher. Exhale brings you back down. Really nice work, guys. So go ahead and hug the knees into the chest, roll out the knees, or maybe you choose to do a little mini Shavasana here. We're going to do one more pose. So just take your time here. I really want you guys to release. We're going to come into a supported bridge after all that hip work. We're going to ground it down. So go ahead and take your block. Bring the soles of the feet onto the mat, hip width apart, close to the body so I can touch my heels. You're going to lift your hips and place the block on setting 1, meaning the lowest, widest setting, right underneath your sacrum. What is the sacrum? It's the widest triangular base of your spine. All right, so it generally requires a little bit of moving until it's in just the right spot. You don't want it too high up or too far down so that there's sagging. You want your sacrum to be fully supported. And then what I tend to do is reach those shoulder blades out from under the body. So if this is in your practice and you do back bends a lot, you have the option to bring it to setting 2 or even setting 3. I'm not quite warmed up enough to be at setting 3 today. So I'm gonna meet you in setting 1. And then this is an inversion. It's a supported inversion. But what does that mean? Your head is below. Your head is below your heart. So all that juicy energy that we released in the hip joint, all that fresh oxygenated air is going right to your head, directly from your heart. I want you to release those glutes, the butt. I want you to release that lower belly and the thighs. I want you to release the back of your head. Full breath in. Complete breath out. So you have the option to stay in your supported bridge with the feet on the ground. I'm just going to go over a few more options, and it's always fun to explore these. Maybe you choose a different variation every time you come back to this potent practice. So maybe you stay where you are. Another option for a deeper release in your lower back is walk your feet out a little wider and let the knees touch. Maybe they don't touch, but you're letting them come close together. I feel a nice internal rotation of my hip flexors, a nice stretch in the front of my body. Another option here for a deep, deep opening in the hips is maybe you come into butterfly. This is very intense. This may be too intense for you. So you're in a butterfly bridge, right? Knees drop. I like to bring my hands to my hips to remind them to relax. The final option here in your bridge is legs extend out one at a time in front of you. Sometimes I like to keep my legs in line with my hips, or sometimes I take them out a little bit wider, letting my ankles naturally roll in or roll out. If you're taking this extended bridge version, I want you to notice if you've tensed up. It's a deep stretch. What does our body do when we're going into that threshold of deep stretching? It tightens up. It doesn't want you to let go. It doesn't want you to change. It doesn't want you to release your tension and de-armor, right? So this is where deep breaths, mind over matter, come into play. Last option here is extended drawbridge. Arms can go overhead. Take a deep breath in. And out. Three more breaths. Send the breath low into the body, nourishing your root system. And coming out of whatever version of your bridge pose you're in, we'll all meet with the soles of the feet on the mat. And just for a moment, extend the right leg up to the sky, left leg up to the sky, a supported shoulder stand. Rolling out the ankles, maybe bending the knees, straightening the knees. Relax the upper body. There's nothing to hold up here. There's nothing to keep together. Let it all go. Let the blood, let the lymph drain up your legs with gravity back to your heart. Really beautiful pose to do at the end of the day, or if you've been standing on your feet all day, if you're a nurse or a server, you've been standing all day, you're a yoga teacher. Take 3 more breaths. And gently drop one foot and the other foot. On your next inhale, lift your hips, slide the block out, and slowly come down on the exhale. We'll hug the knees into the chest one more time. Maybe you roll out the knees or you rock side to side. Rocking side to side is a nice release in the lower back and the kidneys. Take a few more breaths with me, and then we'll set up for Shavasana. A nice, brief Shavasana, really important to do after we do the deep work, both physically and emotionally of the hips. Go ahead and extend your legs out. Lift the hips off the mat, shimmy them around, release the shoulders. Option here to take your block and bring it right into the pelvis to ground down the energy. Take a deep breath in here. Tighten everything. Curl the toes, clench the fists, reach the shoulders up, clench the dog, clench the face, clench the glutes. Inhale. Let out a big sigh, relax everything. Ha, Shavasana. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Audible sigh. And again. And gently release the block from the front of the body. Inhale, stretch the arms overhead. Bring the soles of the feet to the mat, and on the exhale, find your fetal position. Finding some gratitude here, yogi, for just taking a little bit of time and just enough time to listen to your body today. Let's gently press up to seated. Bring the hands to heart center. Inhale. Exhale. Together we Om. Breath in. Om. Yogis, the self-love in me honors the self-love in you. Namaste. Thank you.